Have you ever wondered what those lines around your wrist actually mean? This is something that I have been studying for a really long time. I've studied palmistry for 17 years and I've read over 8,000 people in that amount of time, but I rarely ever spoke about the rascettes, as these little lines around the wrist are called, because I found the information in different palmistry books to be inconsistent, inconclusive, frustrating, and downright inaccurate. So I actually read in an Indian palmistry book that how many lines you had around your wrist was going to tell you how many years you were going to live, which of course is ridiculous because length of life is actually not in the hands at all. So if you think that that is in your hands, I just want you to know that it is not, because your lines do change and you have free will to choose different things to appear in your life. So that is the beauty of being on planet Earth, is that we have free will. So I went into a meditation the other day and I didn't even have this question in mind, but the Pleiadian Council of Light came in and they actually answered this question for me. And I would love to share with you what they told me about these mysterious rascette lines that encircle your wrist. So I'm going to read it to you right now. And by the way, I do a process called automatic writing, where I go into meditation and I go into a meditative state and I just wait for my pen to start writing. And this is what comes through in these meditations. I've been doing these for years. So this is the Pleiadian Council of Light. Thank you for calling on us. We are always pleased to connect with you. We applaud your willingness to share these messages with your audience. You are wondering about the rascettes. The number of lines at the wrist is an indication of the number of lifetimes that are currently being karmically balanced and harmonized in the current life. The typical number is 3 or 4. More than that gets overwhelming, and less may indicate more depth or specific choices to focus on for the individual. So that was the message that the Pleiadian Council of Light shared with me. So that makes sense to me. It's not going to show you how many lifetimes or how many years you're going to live, or even how many lifetimes you've lived, because you've probably lived thousands of lifetimes and you're an infinite soul, you're an infinite being of light. But to imagine that, hey, you have some specific karmas that you are working on in this lifetime, and this absolutely shows up in the hands in multiple ways. So I find that fascinating that these lines reflect that. And I have noticed that over time that these lines also change, just like they do in the palms. So that means that as you start to balance your karma, as you start to overcome some of the challenges that you chose to overcome in this lifetime, it will reflect in those rascettes just as it does elsewhere in your hands. So I'm really interested in hearing your comments on this one. What do you think about this and the messages that the Pleiadian Council of Light brought to me? Have you heard anything different about these rascettes? And how many rascette lines do you have in your wrist? I would love to hear these in the comments. So if you're interested, by the way, in ascending some of these karmic challenges that you might be having, this is what I do for a living. I help people to overcome their challenges, overcome their blocks, work through karma, come into a more harmonious state, manifest their deepest desires. This is what I am passionate about. So if you're interested, I would encourage you just to go to ascension17.com and check out my web pages and discover what is possible for you. And maybe you're ready to step on the diamond path. Maybe you're ready to actually consciously work through what is showing up in your hands.